Thank you very much. Thank you. Those introductions scare me. I have to live up to them. I don't know how you do that. I don't know where they get all that information as you're sitting there. But I have to tell my same story I've always told. About last 2 weeks ago, I was speaking over in the College of Business, and there were 2 or 3 speakers there, and a young lady came up. She was introducing the speakers one at a time as they came up there. I was the last one up on the list, and she said, "It says here that our next speaker needs no introduction." So I hope that's so, because I don't know who he is. And that's the way it is at Colorado State. You win and they know you, and you lose and they forget about you. But I have to say it's an honor for me, and because of such a small crowd, if you'd like to, I'd sure be open to any questions that you want to ask me. But I'll tell you, anytime, just raise your hand if you'd like to ask me anything, or afterwards, I'd be available. I do have a slight cold. I don't think anybody will get infected by it. I had it for about a week. I think it's gone now, so you might catch me taking a sip of water once in a while here. Anyway, my career as a individual, as a person, and anything that I could probably feel qualified to talk about is probably teaching and coaching, because that's all I've ever done. And I started that. You guys figure out the math here. My first day as a teacher and a coach was in 1960, in September 1960, so none of you guys were all around. I'm the oldest guy in the room, and so I always used to tell my football teams, I'd keep them in their seats right in front of me. I said, you guys might be smarter than I am, and I was 21 at one time, and none of you guys are 72 years old. So I do have the experience on you, and that's all I have. And I learned a lot through the years, and especially in coaching and teaching, which are such great professions. And if I ever had any advice for any of the students in here, and some of the people here have already had their careers, are doing those things, is I always, for some reason, in my life wanted to be a coach. I didn't know if I could be a teacher, but I thought I could coach. And in the days where I came from, and the time when I was growing up in the 50s, in order to coach in high school, that's all I ever wanted to be. And it shows you how your life takes you different paths. All I ever wanted to be was a coach. I thought maybe I could be a high school coach, but in those days, one had to have a degree to coach at the high school level. Now that's not true. Now, thank God, because I probably wouldn't have gone to college. I'd have just went there and been a volunteer coach, and I'd have been happy with life. For how long, I don't know. But I've since leaving CSU, since being, since being fired at CSU, I've had a lot of chances to reflect on a lot of things, on what you do well and what you do wrong, and plan, and all these things. What I found out for you young students here, I think the thing that's most important is find something you love. Find something, and I don't think you find it right off the bat. I was lucky, because I was probably, I don't know what it was, there was just something about me. I was competitive, like all of you are competitive, just as competitive as I am, but there was just something that drew me, and I didn't know it myself that that's what I could be good at, but it's something that I wanted to do. And I guess if there's anything, eventually you're going to find your path in life. And I don't think you can sit here today as a student and plan, this is what I'm going to do at 22, this is what I'm going to do at 24, this is what I do. I don't think life works that way, and you can things happen along the way. And it takes you, but as long as you're prepared, as long as you prepare yourself and work at it, the opportunities come up. Because as I said earlier, the only thing I ever wanted to be was maybe a high school coach. And it just seemed that one aspect of life took me to another. And I do know this, that the harder you work in your present job, the better you will be, and the opportunities that will create for you. And I've been, I guess, in the coaching business, which is probably in every business, is that there are people in our business, there's always guys looking for other jobs, they're on the phone calling, trying to get another job, and they're neglecting their work right here. And people can see through that. And as I learned, don't chase the money will chase you. If you do what you're supposed to, and do it good. And I look at my career and talk about adversity and that. I just go on and on. As a football, I've written notes here. It has been my way of life. I love it. I love the competition. I love working with the team. What is there not to like about it? I mean, it's just something. And just the same thing with you people in your jobs. You have to find a job that you love. And as Confucius says, find work you enjoy, and you'll never work a day in your life. And I could actually say, you probably forget the bad times, but 48 years as a teacher coach, because that's what coaching is, it's teaching. For 48 years, I loved my job. There must have been times I didn't. I'm sure there was somebody along the way that I didn't, but as far as excited about going to work, and of course we all know, as Emerson said, nothing great was ever accomplished without enthusiasm and passion. And man, I like going to my work. I just liked it. And the more you like it, I guess, it doesn't seem like work, it seems like fun. And I guess you could say that I was very fortunate, because I do know people. I'm talking more to the younger people in here. All this, boy, I can't imagine. Everything hadn't been perfect, but I can't imagine going to work day in, day out for 10 or 15 years and not being excited. I could hardly wait to get to the office there across the street through good times and bad times. And that's the adversity. You have to let things go, and you learn through But I could hardly wait to get to the office at 6:30, 7 o'clock every morning and work and be there, and then have the game on Saturday and be in there Sunday. I think Matt just asked me, do you miss anything about coaching? I miss a lot about it, but you know what I do not miss? Those nice fall Sundays, which we had this Sunday. I never saw one of those for 48 years. Because on Sundays is a big work day for us. We'd go in about 7 a.m. and leave about 9 o'clock at night, putting the last game behind us and getting ready for the next opponent. And I used to look out the window there, and I see students riding across the lot there on their bikes. Man, I said, I'd love to be doing that. I don't miss that, but I do miss all the other things about it. So I guess when it's time, it's time. Over the past 48 years, worked with hundreds of coaches, thousands of players, and like anything in our lifetime, which I didn't realize this, but you do as you get a little older, that it's all about relationships. It's all about, for me, the excitement after 40 years, every day during the football season at 2:15, we'd have a team meeting. And it's about the size of our room, 115 players. And man, to be able to get up in front of those kids and talk to them and talk about good and the bad, and to see their eyes sparkling, and to build your team, and to know that you represent it more than just yourself, it didn't get any better than that. I didn't like some of the time just sitting in the office and answering the phone and doing those things, but it's like anything in life. Football has brought to me some of the most exciting moments. What do they call it? The ecstasy or of victory and the agony of defeat. Man, the highs. I can still remember. I can remember step for step when we went down to Arizona. And some of you in here remember that, 1994. They were ranked in the season. There, I picked up the Sports Illustrated in July, and there it had the #1 football team in the season was the University of Arizona, the Desert Swarm with Teddy Bruschi, and all these people, and here we're going down there to play them. So how the heck did we get into that? Who the hell got that on their schedule? That was my first thing. But to go down there, and I can remember that Thursday night before, I can just see it as plain as day. I can see John Pulowski sitting here, and Terry Engel, who works over here in College of Agriculture, doing something. John Pulowski's now a doctor, a physician at Children's Hospital in Denver, and Greg Myers, the DBs were always in the back of the room. Greg Myers, who is now a doctor, anesthesiologist, and all these guys were that big, and we're going down there. I'm thinking, do these kids know what they're getting into? We're going to get killed. And I couldn't let them think that, but they had probably more faith. They taught me more about myself and more about themselves than I. But anyway, I just want to talk about going down and winning that football game for our whole community, for our school. And my wife didn't go to that game because my son was about a junior in high school then, my youngest boy, and they had some type of dance, so she couldn't go. She had to make sure he was home at midnight or something like that. But she was telling me the excitement of the community. And I can remember in 1995, I got them all in my mind. 1995, we went down to play in Folsom Field in Boulder. And they had a good team, and they wanted to kill us. They didn't want to beat us. They wanted to kill us. And I'm driving down there, and I heard we got off the bus going into Folsom Field. One of our spies I had down there spying on them all the time come up and said, Coach Barnett just had a big luncheon there Friday, and there were 300 people there, and he said he's going to unleash all hell on you guys. That scared the heck out of me. I got scared, but I went and told our team. I said, these guys are going to unleash all kinds of hell. But anyway, it was one of the great games, and we were down. Anyway, we were down about 14, 15 points for our team with Justin Holland, David Anderson, people that you may remember. Nobody remembers offensive linemen anyway. But we came back, got within 3 points of the game. They couldn't stop us. We were throwing the ball all over the stadium. They couldn't stop us. We go down there, and here is the goal. Talk about adversity. Here's the goal line, this strip here. David Anderson goes and catches the ball right here, and he gets hit out, and they didn't call him in. There was 30 seconds to go in the game, 31 seconds. 31 seconds to go. We had no timeouts, a 30-yard pass. We're that far away. We are that far away from victory. I call a play. I started to coach then. That was my fault. And anyway, we called up the play. We screwed it up. We didn't score, and they beat us. And I can remember 31 seconds, no timeouts. I wanted to win that game so badly because I was just going to take our whole team, and we were going to victory lap around that stadium and rub it in. But anyway, that's part of it. And yeah, people ask me, what is coaching? And you can see there's adversity. You have to overcome it. That's part of the game of life. All of us older folks, and I'm the only old one in here, every day isn't perfect, but we get up, we keep going. And that's what we do in football in the season. During the season, you go play. CSU has played a game, heartbreaking, tough loss. You got to come home Sunday. You look at the film, get rid of it, and now we got to get ready for Utah State. And we can't dwell on it. You can't dwell on your failures. You got to go and look, and you got to have faith that things are going to get better, and you got to make them better. What is coaching? Well, it's teaching. That's what I know. It's teaching, and we got some teachers in here, and it's going to get you to be the best player you can be. You are going to be good. I don't care if you want to be. I'm going to make you good. It is inspiring them to be their best. Inspiring your students, your players to be their best. It is seeing them not for what they are, but for what they can be. When I go into a home and I'm recruiting you, and I see you're sitting there, a senior in high school, I think you'd got some answers, and you don't know what you want to do. I see you as an All-American. I see it 2 years. If you do what we ask you to do, you are going to be an all-conference player, and we're going to make you one. And so we see it for what you can be. And the last thing I think about coaching, that as I kind of reflect on some things and write these things down, is coaching is believing in them when they don't believe in themselves. That's what teaching is, right? Teaching is we have to believe in them. And that's what it is, because you know what? As a coach, you can't fail. You know why? You get fired. If the team fails, the coach fails. And so we're all in this thing together, and it's up to us as coaches to make sure this happens. And everybody asks me about football fans. There's a couple fans in here, I'm sure. I hear them, man, they don't have a clue. I say that genuinely. But there are no secrets. In the classroom, there are no shortcuts. Winning is simple, but it ain't easy. That's from who's the coach at the Buffalo Bills, Marv Levy, the great coach of the Buffalo Bills, who has an English degree like I do. You never know that, and he from Harvard University. That's what he would tell. It's simple, but it ain't easy, because we have to do the little things. We have to do the little things in class. We have to show up on time. We have to be there. We have to do our work. Where Yogi Berra says, there are no shortcuts. People think there's magic, trick play, a gimmick. This is easy. Why don't they do this? Why don't they do this? There aren't any shortcuts in our business, and in any teacher in here, in any of our business, there aren't shortcuts. And Yogi Berra says, the best shortcut is the long road. And I truly believe that. The harder you work, the more you put into it, the more you pay attention to detail, the better chance you have of success. And it all goes back, which we heard that, to preparation. And I always talk about the faith, and I hope Coach Fair and the boy, they just lost one game. You got to keep faith. You got to keep believing. When we fail a test, it's not the end of the world, is it? Sometimes it is, but it shouldn't be. I say this, football teaches a lot of things, but something I lived by. Failure isn't fatal, and success isn't forever. And by that means you have to take the risk. If you don't fail, then you're not trying hard enough. And you're not taking the risk. And everything I've ever done in my life, as I told you, start with my life, I wanted to be a high school teacher, but I want to be a high school coach, hope I can get there. All of a sudden I got my degree, and I became a high school coach. And I started coaching at the smallest high school in America. And you go back, in 1960, I got hired as a teacher at Beatty, Nevada. None of you know where Beatty, Nevada is. Anybody here gets a free trip to Las Vegas, Yeah. But it is 90 miles from Las Vegas. I went there. There were 38 people 38 students in the high school. That's 7th, 8th grade. 7th, junior high, everything was combined together. They had an English teacher, social studies teacher, that was me, and a science teacher. Couldn't have a football team, but I coached basketball. I coached the women's basketball team, and I drove the school bus on our games. And life was good. And you talk about starting out and trying to, and I was happy. Happiest days of my life. I had never had plans of doing this or doing that, but all of a sudden I got called, and one thing led to another. No doubt about us learning from our mistakes, and no doubt about us having relationships with people. And that's what it's all about. I just tell you the things like most of you. I don't like to drop out names here, but I talk about Coach Meyer Urban on our staff for 4 or 5 years. he spoke on College Day last year. I make one phone call to him, busier than heck. Coach, I'll be there. I'll be there. When he played for the national championship against the University of Ohio State. I don't know if there's any Ohio State fans in here. He invited me down, our family, and I spoke to his football team, the University of Florida Gators, the night before their championship game. What a thrill that was for me to go down there. And he didn't have to do that. And I just thank him for that. I'll tell you about last week. I'm home watching the game. Any of you guys watch television, football games on TV? Well, I watch it. I start at 10 o'clock on Saturday, and I quit about midnight. That's my deal. And I have a couple beers in the meantime, but what my wife will allow me to have. But this past week, about the 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock game, Michigan and Notre Dame, 115,000 people. The pom-poms are going. I mean, one of the greatest spectacles of all time. That game was not over a half hour. I get a phone call from my former offensive line coach, Darryl Funk, who I recruited here out of Rocky Mountain High School, and he coached for us here at Colorado State when I was here. And there he was. He went on. There's another thing of adversity. When we all got fired here, none of the coaches had jobs. And once the head coach gets fired, we all get fired. And there's Darryl had to move to Ball State with his family, then from Ball State 1 year to San Diego State 1 year, then to Michigan, and here he is. So the moral of the story is, whenever you get fired, consider yourself lucky, because things will get better. And I believe that. And Urban Meyer, when he was here, he had no job. I had all my staff selected. Here he is, Shelley's, they have one baby. She's pregnant with their next child. He had no job. I felt sorry for him, and I kept him on. I tell him that and kid him. He thanks me forever, and now look at him, what National Coach of the Year. So all of us, I know when I was fired, things happened better. I talked to Mike Shanahan. He said the best thing that ever happened to him. Best thing ever happened to him. He got fired at Oakland Raiders, something good happens. He gets fired from the Denver Broncos, he's with the Washington Redskins. You cannot let failure, I'm telling you young people in here, it cannot define you. What's your response to it? What am I going to do about it? What am I going to make myself? Dave Magazoo, none of you know who he was, but he was on my staff here. He's offensive line coach with the Broncos now. I called him up. I said, you better get those guys playing. The natives are getting restless. That's all I hear about. And John Benton, I went down 2 weeks ago to watch the Texans play the Indianapolis Colts, who had me over to his house, who had me up, John Benton, who was my offensive line coach and our offensive coordinator here for about 5 years. So I guess the points I'm trying to make here is that, we all going to have some trials. We're all going to have to face adversity during our lifetime. And if you're not faced, it means we haven't tried hard enough, and we have to take risks. And all these guys, without jobs, and all of a sudden here they are, by being good people, by working hard, people will recognize that, and they got their other opportunities. So I guess that's what makes it happy, and have John Benton, be able to sit down with him after their big victory and have a soda pop is great for me. I can remember our seasons also at CSU and the 2002 season when the athletic director came up. He said, Sonny, we got problems. I said, we don't have any money. I said, what else is new? We never have any. But he said, we have to figure a way to make $500,000 or $600,000, or we're going to have to make a lot of cuts or something. So anyway, we went out and got an extra game. And we were lucky enough to get the game. I don't know if many remember, in 2002 we went down to play Virginia. And we go down there, and it's 95 degrees in the first game of the season. It was last week in August, and it was a hot puppy out there, and our kids go down there and we play with everything we have, and we pull out a victory of Virginia, and then we come home the next week, and we got CU in Mile High Stadium or Sports Authorities Field, and we beat those guys. And then the next week we go out to UCLA and play UCLA, and we have UCLA we're 3.5 quarters, we're ahead of them by 7 points. Our kids are playing lights out. And before the game, Austin Murphy, who is the head sports writer for Sports Illustrated, came up to me before the game. He said, "Coach, if you guys can win this game, we are going to do the entire feature article on Colorado State." Man, my heart, I said, wouldn't that be great for us publicity? Well, anyway, we lost the game. We went for 2 points with about 1.5 minutes to go in the game, and we didn't make it. That's what Bradley was our quarterback, and didn't make it. But I talk about adversity, man, what a great thing that would have been for our entire university, that they would devote their staff here. But it shows you how far we have gone and how close we could be, and yet it just doesn't work out all the time. It doesn't work out. So anyway, I'll answer some questions for you people, and there are a lot of things I could talk about, how our family, things we had to go through. Because as a coach, I started out quickly. My career started out, all I wanted to do was be a high school coach. Happy, life is good. Smallest school in the world, Beatty, Nevada. I coached there, drove the school bus, drove to Las Vegas every Friday. We drive up the bus after our game with the boys and the girls and park in front of the Golden Nugget. They'd go in and eat on a smorgasbord. I'd drive them back home. And that was good living. Then I went to coach at Butte High School, and we're going to be happy for life there. My dream had come true. I'm coaching back in my hometown, and had a great program that was already built before I ever got there. We won a state championship in 1968. They asked me to come to Montana State and coach. I took a pay cut, went to Montana State because that's what I thought you were supposed to do. I thought you were supposed to keep moving up the ladder if you could. And I worked there for 4 years, became the head coach, and then came to Colorado State in '82 as an assistant. Saw that we weren't going anyplace. Jack Elway hired me at Stanford for 4 years. I worked there for 4 years. The biggest thrill of that was my children got to spend some time with John Elway. That was a big treat. Anything else is bonus after that. And then at Stanford for that 4 years, I went to the University of Miami. Just things happened. We won 2 national championships there. And I guess what I'm trying to tell you, you got to take a risk. And you got to work hard at what you're doing. And if you're doing it and you're prepared, you'll get the opportunity, you take it, and you go. And the only reason I got the job here at Colorado State is for you people, when you go out looking for jobs, you get associated with a great company. A great company. I don't know what a great company is. I guess GE is a great company. I don't know what the great companies are. I don't do any of that stuff. But I know in football who the great companies are. Notre Dame. You work for Notre Dame, you're set for life. You work for Michigan, you got a job for life. Somebody's going to hire you. You work for Michigan. You work for the University of Miami. At that time, they were national champ. We played for it 4 consecutive years. We won 2 of them. I was no better of a person. I just worked for a good company. I was no better coach than a lot of other people. Worked for a good program. We won a lot, and then people wanted to hire you. And that'll be the same thing in your business, and along the way, working for good people. But I got this from Don Shula when I was down at Miami, and I always kind of lived by him. He was a friend and a good person to me. His coaching beliefs were that I kind of took keep winning and losing in perspective. And in your job, you're not going to win every day in the classroom. And when you lose, you don't get so high, you don't get so low, but you still got to have enthusiasm. You've got to get fired up for things, but keep winning and losing in perspective. And, if you get down too much and you focus too much on the losing and you focus too much on your failure, you're finished. You can't come out of it. You got to keep things in a good perspective. We got beat, bang, we're going on to the next one. I got faith. I know we're going to get better. Lead by example. If you don't do it, if I don't do it, my coaches aren't going to do it. And you got to lead by example. You can't talk about it. Was there a new saying in this 20th century? You got to walk the walk. You don't talk about it. That's what I've always tried to do, but other people I've been around, I learned that from people. Go for respect over popularity. I don't care if they like me, if they respect me. But if they like me, that's good too. But they better respect me. And I found out in my business that in young coaches, the young coaches I hired, they all want to be popular with the players. So I don't care if they like you. I want to respect you. You got to be hard. We got to push them. We got to make them better than they are. Value character as well as ability. As one of our great speakers in this day and age, Zig Ziglar, says, talent is like table salt. It's all over the place. It takes more than talent to win. It takes more when you guys are all gonna find that out. You're getting an education here, you're prepared, you're preparing yourself, but you have to have some other things going for you. You have to be a team player, you have to have character. More important, you can look every Sunday, Sunday on television, you can see the guys that can ruin a whole team. One person can ruin a whole football team. That's why it's important for every person you bring in the room. They have to have character. Same thing with the coaches. Work hard, but enjoy what you do. And you have to have a sense of humor, and you have to be able to laugh and enjoy it. But I know there's people who have jobs, they love their jobs, and they work hard, and you enjoy it, and life is fun. And so I don't know if I've taken up my time, but I'd sure like to, I would answer any questions for you. You know, the old saying, the longer you're away and the farther you're away, the more of an expert you become. So I've become an expert now. But anyway,